Second most important subject to many Nigerians today, after the hardship they are facing and the high cost of living, is to change the government that caused the crisis in the first place. Because everybody understands that in order to solve a problem, you have to nip it in the bud or remove it from the root. When you do that, you have succeeded in solving the problem instead of solving the symptom. This brings us to the mega party that opposition has been discussing all along. That was the question posed to Pr0t today in Onitsha. He was asked to update Nigerians about the mega party, how far they've gone, and what Nigerians are supposed to expect in the coming days. Let's hear him.
You know, for me, my focus is how the poor Nigerians today will eat. I want to talk about things that are affecting Nigerians today. We politicians are preoccupied by election. That's not what I'm talking about. How do we reduce the price of food? Our people are dying of hunger. How do we make life conducive for the poor Nigerians? How do we make sure that people earn more money in order to live? How do we put people out of poverty? That should be our concern, not forming mega party or this thing. If forming mega parties to be able to provide what I'm saying now, I'm all for it. If it is about state capture so we can start continuing the same consumption, no. But if it's to move it to production, yes.
Despite all the problems that Nigerians are going through and the fact that people are talking about removing the current administration from power, many people still see it from the ethnic lens, from all sorts of lenses. They see it as if someone wants to take power, that someone is entitled to do 8 years in power. Why are Nigerians not talking about competence? After all, Goodluck Jonathan was removed from power. People voted against him. He was removed and nothing happened. Why are people adding an ethnic coloration to it? Haven't Nigerians learned any lesson at all? People were bamboozled because of religion in order to vote for a particular candidate. Here we are today. They've understood that it is not about religion or ethnicity or the fact that you have a relation with someone in power. It is about performance in office. It's about competence. It's about doing the right things. Today, everyone is suffering. So don't allow anyone to deceive you. They are pushing all sorts of narratives that the North wants to seize power from the South. After Buhari destroyed the country for 8 years, that they didn't do anything during that time. All sorts of narratives. They tell you that you have to support a southern president until after 8 years it will go back to the North. They are playing a mind game. Let no one deceive you. The objective should be to uproot the current administration. That's the most important thing. And the North will not make a mistake of presenting a northern presidential candidate. They won't make that mistake. They know they are pushing that narrative, so they must avoid that. Unless if they fall for it and present a northern candidate, then what happened in 2023 might repeat itself again. But we already know that they won't do that. They are rallying around to make sure that he will be disgraced. Yes, there's a limit to how much you can rig. If you are losing in virtually all the polling units in a particular area, how are you going to rig? And people will get their votes as if their lives depend on it. People don't understand how they are preparing in most parts of the North. They are not joking with the 2027 election. You see, the current hardship in the country is hitting the North harder than the South. This is simply because we have more poor people in the North, unlike in the South. And normally, food is cheaper in the North because they have more farms. Most of the food we consume in this country are farmed in the North. Imagine having to buy a bag of maize for 85,000 naira. What about beans? 170,000 naira as of today. Beans that used to be cheaper than rice, but today, rice is even cheaper than beans at 85 or 90,000 depending on the one you are buying, whether it's foreign or the local ones. So it's not easy for anyone, and since Nigerians can't organize themselves and protest like Kenyans did, to at least get the government to reverse some of the policies so that life will be easier for people, that was the question that was asked Pr0t, whether he thinks Nigerians should hit the streets like Kenyans in order to force the government to reverse some of the policies. Let's take a listen.
What's happening in Kenya? The citizens have been protesting over tax reforms by the government. But here, some people believe that Nigerians have been very docile. And do you think that we have actually been very docile in Nigeria, given the harsh economic realities of the time?
Well, let me classify this. I'm against riot. I'm against destruction of government assets and properties, because that's the same money we're looking at, scarce resources that we're going to use to repair them. I'm not against peaceful protest, but it must be for reasons, not for interest. Often a time here you see protests being to satisfy a particular interest. It must be properly articulated. There's things that is happening that is against and properly directed. Properly articulated and properly directed. So you don't go. I recall when people were saying they're protesting against police or any other organization of government, and I said to them, no, let's deal with the leadership. If we have good leadership, their agents can be bad. But what happens here is that Nigerians say, oh, our problem is police, our problem is EFCC, our problem is ICPC, our problem is the army. No, the problem is leadership. If the leadership is, if the leaders are competent, have the capacity, doing the right thing, the agents will toe in the line. And that is what I want. I want to see these things that are properly organized. I want to see people listening. And I'm using the same opportunity to say, all those who are being held because of, say, NSAS, protests and everything, or because of freedom of speech or journalists, should please be released immediately. We're a democratic country. People have a right under the Constitution to express themselves freely under freedom of speech. They have also right to peacefully protest, and we must listen to them. We must listen to those who say they are not happy. That's why it is a democratic nation. We should stop acting dictatorial and behaving as if it is not a democratic country. I know we are in a state capture, but then we should act in a manner that shows some decency.
Like Pr0t said, protest is a constitutionally guaranteed right in a democracy. All Nigerians can protest and demand anything from the government. It is left for the government to either yield or refuse. So for the people waiting for Pr0t, Atiku Abubakar, or any of the opposition politicians to lead a protest, they are simply wasting their time. Even if a bag of rice costs 1 million naira today, it will not affect the likes of Pr0t, Atiku Abubakar, and all the other opposition politicians, even the APC politicians. It will never affect them. It will only affect the poor people who are already poor and down. So the question is, why are the poor people not leading the protest? Yes, they are the ones that are affected more than the elites. Why are they not hitting the streets and demanding for better living conditions and demanding that the government does something to reduce the cost of food? They should be at the forefront, because like they say in an African proverb, someone that is pressed to ease himself is always at the front running to the restroom. So the likely reason it hasn't happened yet might be that things are not actually that hard as people try to make it. Maybe until a bag of rice reaches 500,000 naira, or a bag of beans 700,000 naira, or maybe never, because Nigerians always try to adjust to situations. Nigerians are too elastic that even if they are being pulled to breaking point, they will still continue to hope and pray that the people pulling them will stop pulling them at some point. So what it means is that they would rather die than fight back. Anyway, here's hoping that something must give, and that all opposition politicians must put their differences away and work for the interest of Nigerians. Thanks for watching.